What a funny story. Now, without further ado, let's make a tutorial. Thank you, past intro me! Now, let's get on with, well, making that intro you just saw in this basic Premiere Pro tutorial. So, as you can see, here is the effects and library panel. As I've already gotten some bins, some folders, or as Premiere Pro calls them, bins. And you can make them by going up to File, New, making a new bin, or you can simply right-click and just click New Bin. But as you can see, first things first, we need to get a sequence. So you can do this by two ways, one of which is by going into File, New, and click on Sequence. Then this will come up, and yep, that all looks good to me. Unless you have a specific thing you need to do, just the basic Premiere Pro settings are absolutely fine. So here we are, this is the sequence on our timeline. So let's go up to my footage bin, and this is very important that you use the bins to get a bit more organization, and this will then streamline your workflow. So as you can see, I have used the mark in and mark out buttons, so which are I and O on your keyboard, to pick this part of the foot of the clip to then put onto the timeline. So I'm going to left click and hold and then drag, and as you can see, here is our first clip. Now let's go to our second clip. Same thing. I've already picked out the part of the video that I want to use, so click and drag. Let's try. So, without further ado, as you can see, it's not cut properly. So what we're going to do is cut it properly. Now there are two ways to do this, and the way that I'm going to show you is by click and dragging. So let's pick the part we want to do. Right there. So then you can either go to the start or the end of your video clip. So I'm going to go to the end of my first one, hold left click and then drag to the blue line, and then that will cut it there. So I'm going to do a similar thing right here. Do that, and then right click, and then you can rip or delete, and you can go straight there. So let's see if that has worked. Without further ado, I might give it one more frame. Yeah, I'll give it a little bit of space. It's only a couple frames, but I think it will make a difference. Without further ado, because the hand going up is quick anyway, but if you give it that little bit extra time, then that really makes it feel better. And yep, that's me with my dumb face. That's all fine. Tutorial. That's all good. Now I'm going to do the same thing, drag and then bring that, and that is one way to do cutting. Another way, which I'm going to show you right now, I'm going to show you how to do two things. You go over here to your little tools panel, and you go to the razor tool, and this is your basic everyday cutting tool. There is of course some other ones, but none of which I need to show you right now. So what I've done is I've cut this one frame from the clip, and I'm going to right click and I'm going to add frame hold. And what this will do is essentially turn it into a still image. So I can make it as long as I need, like so. So we have it. We now have 3 video or image clips, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do some stuff with a text tool. And there are 2 ways to do this. What I'm going to show you is by using the type tool down here. You can also access it by using T. And I'm going to drag, and I'm going to click and hold, and then drag. And then eventually, you will have a text layer. Here we are. We've got a brand new text layer. So what I'm going to do is just type in the title of the tutorial. Premiere Pro tutorial. Okie doke. So now I'm going to do the same thing, click and drag to the same length as the rest of the clip. Now I'm going to double click on the text, and this will then bring up its aspects in the effects panel. And this is like your everyday normal text interface. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my normal video font. I'm going to click on this little box here for stroke, and the stroke essentially is the outline to your text, and I'm going to give it 10, and I'm alright with that. And you know what, I'm also going to give it a shadow because I like the shadow. So with your selection tool or just your basic mouse, then you move it like so into whatever you want. I'm going to put it in this little corner to frame the DC canvas I have behind me nicely. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of animation to the text. But before that, I need to double click on the viewfinder panel, and then it will come up with the whole thing selected on the text layer, and I'm going to bring this little circle into the middle right there, and that will become apparent why I have done that right now. So that's there. I'm now going to press this little stopwatch for toggle animation on the scale and on rotation. What this will do is this will now enable you to essentially do some animation to this text layer. Now you can do this on every kind of layer, and we're going to do it on the text layer right now. And what we're going to do, we're going to move the blue line forward a little bit, add some more keyframes by clicking on this little diamond for add or remove keyframes, then a little bit more, and same thing, and then one more. So the reason I've done this is the duration of my animation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to rotation, put down -20, and as you can see, it has now rotated. Now the reason I did a double click on here is because this little circle with a cross in it, that is the rotation axis. So whenever you would do any rotation, you need to make sure the axis is where you want it to then rotate around. So that's fine. Now I'm going to make it 0. Then it will go boop, and it's there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it bigger than how I need it, and I'm going to make this go over by 5. Then I'm going to make it go under. So now I'm going to make the text smaller than what I need. And then it will go back to normal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these first 2 keyframes, and I'm going to right click, and I'm going to do something called ease in. And this effectively makes the animation it makes the animation ease into the next keyframe. So ease in is easing the animation into your selected keyframe, and ease out is then easing the animation out of the keyframe. So if I click on it, there we go, gives it a little bit of a bounce, but I don't like how quick it is, so I'm going to move it ever so slightly. And I'm going to move these both a little bit that way. Whoops. Oh yes, and there are different and there are different effects you can do in your effects one. So there's the effects one, and then there's the audio mixing. But we won't focus on that right now. So now let's see how that looks. Yeah, that looks fine. It gives it a bit of a turn, a bit of a bounce into your scene, and makes it just a bit more interesting to look at, really. So that is all fine. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to save, and then I'm going to render. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to Window, I'm going to go to Workspace, and I'm going to go to Color. Now what this will do is, well, this will bring up the Color workspace, where you can essentially color grade your clips in Premiere Pro. So now I'm going to mess around with some of these measurements over here, and I will get back to you. Okay, so as you can see, I've messed around with some of these measurements over here. It's fairly simple. The exposure is how much light is in the scene. Then the contrast is the contrast of colors and light and dark. And the highlights are the light sources. The shadows are the shadows, and the whites and blacks are fairly self-explanatory. So, as you can see, before and after, the colour and the light pops more with the colour correction done. So, now I'm going to move on to our second clip. Now, because I have the frame hold over here without the colour correction done, so there you go. You can see the difference. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click and click copy on the corrected version of the clip, and go to edit and then paste attributes. Then a menu will come up like so, where you can essentially just pick and choose the effects that you want to then put into your new chosen clip. So the color grading is already selected, so I'm going to click OK, and ta-da! Now the frame hold has the exact same color correction changes as the original clip. So now I'm going to go back to editing. Here we are, back to Old Faithful, and I'm going to render this out. Alright, all rendered out. Now the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my folders and go to Music. Now, what I haven't showed you right yet, which I'm going to do now, is if you double click on your library panel, you can then pick and choose folders to import to your project. As you can see, I've already gotten some music, which I'm happy with, and I'm going to drag it down over to here. I'm going to drag and cut out the first little bit of the song, because as you can see there was a bit of dead air. And now I'm going to go to Effects, I'm going to go to Audio Transitions, go to Crossfade and go to Crossfade. So now I'm going to go to Expositional Fade. They all essentially just do the exact same job. And I'm going to spread these out a little bit more and go to Video Transitions, go to Dissolve, and then I'm going to go to Film Dissolve. Okay, and now we're going to give it one final run through before we export it. What a funny story. Aha! So as you can hear, the music is drowning me out, so I'm going to double click on the audio clip on the timeline, and then go to Sequence, then go to Effects Control, and I'm going to click on the level, and I'm going to put in -20. And let's try it again. What a funny story. Now, without further ado, let's make a tutorial. Yeah, that is all perfectly fine. I'm very happy with that. I'm going to do a last minute save, and then I'm going to click Export and go to Export Media. All right, let's take a look at the summary and all that stuff. That all looks fine to me. Premiere Pro tutorial. Save. Now the reason we do that is to then change the name of the exported video file and also choose where it goes. Now what we have to do is hit export. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy these, then please continue showing support to the channel and to the website, and I look forward to making more videos for you in the future. But until then, farewell.